Welcome to Attention Now podcast, where we dive deep with leaders, warriors, and game changers who live with purpose and make an impact and transform lives. Today's episode is a special one. We're diving deep into the world of stem cell therapy with none other than Matt Parr, a leading voice in regenerative medicine. If you or someone you love has been struggling with chronic pain, inflammation, or degenerative condition, this episode must just open a few doors of hope. Stem cells have been making headlines for years, but only recently have we started to see their potential unfold, from healing spinal injuries to improving joint health and reversing signs of aging. Stem cells represent one of the most exciting frontiers of modern medicine. This conversation isn't just about science, it's about real people finding real results. Matt Parr, welcome back, man. Glad to have you back on the show.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
I'm excited about talking about the stem cells, what you're doing, your background, and how this could help so many people. We've been fortunate. We had you on the podcast earlier this year, and we've been able to recommend other people to come out and talk to you, use your consulting service, and they've had great results. So looking to share this a little bit more, dive deep more, so people could understand. Let me just start off with a small introduction here, Matt. We'll get started. Matt Parr is an entrepreneur, U.S. Army 18D Special Forces medical supervisor. He was on a Green Beret A team. He's the founder of Assisted Global Vitality. Matt has dedicated years studying, developing, and promoting safe and effective stem cell therapies. His work focuses on stem cells, known for regenerative power and ethical sourcing. Matt believes in bridging the gap between science and everyday life, helping people understand that this isn't future medicine, it's medicine that's actually working now, or therapies that are working now. Matt, let's get started, my friend. Can you tell the audience how you started your journey with stem cells?
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Well, 35 years ago, I was rendering life-saving aid out of a backpack in third world countries with my A team and to local indigenous populations. And that's really where I started understanding the power of fundamental medicine and what is referred to as holistic medicine, using everything at your availability to solve the problem. And so fast forward many years later, got out of the military. I'm disabled. I had a back injury. Got put out of the military and I had to reinvent myself. I was too young. I was 34 years old. So I was too young to just lay up and draw Social Security and disability. Plus, I had always desired a little higher lifestyle than that. And so I started a business. I couldn't find a job. There wasn't a huge listing on the internet in 1990 for people who used to shoot automatic weapons, blow stuff up, and skydive. And so I started my own business, and I started it in the health and wellness space,
Okay.
and then grew through referral and through friends and through acquaintances to a truly international business doing health and wellness around the globe. And then my wife and I, who had been married to for 25 years, were packing up, loading up, getting ready to move to Wyoming to move to a ranch for our dream of retiring in the mountains in northwestern Wyoming. And Johnny got sick. While we were physically loading stuff up to leave, she got a pain in a joint and in her thigh. And it ended up a day later, we were in the hospital having a biopsy. And that day we were told that she had literally only months to live
Wow.
from a very aggressive form of cancer. Well, Jonna was 50, 49, 50. I was 59, 60. And she didn't have long to go. So we did everything. I mean, I started pulling the stops out, and we didn't just do what the doctors at the hospital wanted. We did everything. We did nutrition. We did high value supplement therapies. We did uh, chamber therapies. We did everything, and to include emotional and mental support because that has been proven to stimulate your immune system to fight.
Interesting.
So in that process, I learned a metric ton of information just dealing with the doctors and the medical teams as she had to go through a bone marrow transplant and the stem cell therapy. And at that point, this was very experimental. We're talking about 9 years ago. It was still in the first 5 or 6 years of experimental status. And so not only was it hugely expensive back then, but it was even hard to find.
Okay.
It extended Jana's life by years. So to me, that's a big win. It gave me and my wife and our daughters an additional 2.5 to 3 years to prepare for the inevitability instead of only months. And it was a
Wow.
blessing. This is a gift from God. And that's what started my quest and my search. And then when Jana passed away in 2020, right in the beginning of COVID, it was an ugly time for people in the hospital and for hospitals in general and the whole country, actually the whole globe. And uh, during that time, I found a lot of comfort in reading medical studies because took me back. It put me back in the fight, if you will, emotionally and mentally. So it was healing for me. It helped me with my grieving. It still helps me today. I spent 4 hours yesterday reading new medical research reports that just came out on different stem cell therapies from around the globe, different
Oh,
doctors.
wow.
And through all this, I've met some of the top professionals in this industry. And that's what's given me access to the materials and the information to be able to help people, especially people that are confused by what's on the internet, because there's so much goofy stuff on the internet that the average person looks up stem cells and within an hour they're so confused they just put it down.
Yeah.
And that's not the answer. It doesn't need to be that confusing. It's a pretty basic type of therapy. It's just people want it to sound complicated so that you'll come to them and seek their advice. And I don't want to undermine the medical doctors. The techniques and the physically doing the therapies is medicine. It's high tech stuff. But for us and the decision making process, for us, the consumer, it's not that complicated. We have bad cells, old cells, in my case, 68-year-old cells, versus brand new cord cells from an umbilical cord that are harvested during a C-section birth. And so they're vital. Those cells were on their way to build a new body, and now they can be put in your body and heal and regenerate and replace damaged and missing cells.
Wow.
So you start to see things like, people ask me all the time, they go, "How come you're 68 years old and you don't have any big wrinkles in your face?" And I go, "I don't know. I did stem cell therapy. I did my first one 3, 4 years ago, and I got involved in the business. And I believe that if you use these therapies effectively and efficiently, and that they can be beneficial to you in the long run for a lot of things. Yes, they can heal muscles and tendons and joints and specific things, your back, your neck. It certainly help mine. But then the overarching impact is stronger immune system, more stem cells in your system equals quicker replacement and regeneration of problem areas, and the signs of aging start to go slow down.
Right.
I
Exactly. Yep.
hesitate to say they go backwards because I'm not sure we can prove that yet, but it certainly slows down because this should be all white and it's not. I should have big gaping wrinkles in my face because I don't do anything with my skin. I mean, I barely use hand cream in the winter. So it's not because I'm doing
You're
some
not
high,
doing any face masks or anything at night?
that's not my style.
I knew the answer, but I had to throw it in there.
Yeah, if the Marines start doing facials, maybe
Yeah.
I'll think about it. But up till to
Yeah.
now, I'm
Yeah.
not
It's
doing it.
not going to happen. We're not doing that either.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I agree with you. It's a life-changing thing. I know that Tony Robbins even talks about it in his book, right? Life Force,
yes,
where the treatments, have helped him heal, get his energy back and drive, right? And
yeah.
so many people don't realize it's not just about pain relief, it's about restoring vitality and giving people their life back, right? And that's what you've seen as well, because you actually, when you went down there, you went out there for treatment that you had been struggling with for many years, correct?
30. My injuries in my neck and my back are 30 years old. They
And
happened in 1990,
okay,
35. So, yeah, I've wrestled with pain almost half of my life on this planet. And the beautiful part of my first therapy was my pain went away. And and I say that, and I've been schooled on defining what that means because I don't want to paint the picture of, ooh, it's a silver bullet, it's magic, it's fairy dust, like
Right, exactly. Right.
your ailments are gone. I don't believe that there is any of that. But what I do believe is that stem cells are very anti-inflammatory and they stimulate your immune system and they stimulate your body's ability to regenerate damaged tissue. And a lot of my injuries, a lot of my pain was from skeletal injuries that caused muscle inflammation. When your neck's out of alignment, it forces one side of the muscles to stretch and the other side to contract. And if they stay there long enough, they start to spasm and
And,
they get inflamed. And then that puts pressure on nerves. And now we have pain.
and you
And
had an
so,
accident, right?
yeah, I ate a tree limb.
Can you tell the audience what happened? How it happened?
It was a goofy accident in the military, and I ended up damaging all six vertebrae in my neck, my jaw, my face, and then fell through a tree 30, 40 feet, whatever it was, and landed on my rear end and damaged L4, 5, and S1 in my lower back and my left hip. And so all my pain was in my lower back, left hip, and my neck and in my face. As a matter of fact, it was so bad that people would sit across the table from me in a restaurant and go, "What is that noise?" And I go, "It's my jaw
Oh, no
snapping
way. Oh my
on my
gosh.
bit down." It
Oh,
was like
wow.
crack. It sounded like two baseball bats clanking together. And obviously, that gives you headaches. It gives you muscle spasms in your neck. And so, when I did my first stem cell therapy, I did a minimum because I was a little insecure about it. I didn't
Yeah, is
have
this stuff gonna work? Is it voodoo? Whatever. Right.
yeah, and I was only talking to people who I had just met. It wasn't like I had somebody like you and me that have been friends and have done things together for a decade. It was like I was talking to a guy I met 3 weeks ago. He's going, yeah, no big deal. It's easy. And I'm going, my mind was going, I don't know if I want to do this. We're talking about sticking IVs in your veins in your arm. And I go, what if this thing goes bad? This could be really bad. And so I always tell people I didn't have me to talk to with my experience. So I started very conservatively. I did the minimum dose, the smallest amount of invasion, and I got results. So now when I send people to see one of the docs that we've affiliated with, and they talk about giving them a maximum dose, I go, oh yeah, you're gonna feel it like right away. And it's when you start doing things like delivering them right to the injury site, sometimes the impact on people realizing mobility and pain relief and that can be as immediate as within an hour. And sometimes it's as long as 2 or 3 months. Every body is different. Everybody's body has a different metabolism rate and a different rate that they process things. So everybody's going to have different results, but all of the results that we've seen in the years that we've been doing this, and with the docs we're working with that have 10, 12, 15 years experience respectively in this industry, uh, they're going, man, we're seeing better results today because we have better collection methods, harvest methods for the cells, better storage methods, better delivery techniques. When you start getting into like ultrasound and radiograph guided injections into disc spaces and joints and interthecal spaces in your spine to help your brain. One of the things that I've really found helpful for my PTSD, and I had a couple of small TBIs. I was getting headaches all the time. And when I did my first interthecal injection, they went away.
Wow.
And
That's
so
amazing.
and it wasn't long. It was like I wasn't home yet, and my headache was gone. And and I go, that's to me, that's thank you, God. I
That's
was
powerful.
like,
Holy cow.
yeah,
You know what I just thought of right now when you were talking about that, when you had the accident, because you said you mentioned before when I talked to you last time, it was a night jump. You guys were jumping out of a helicopter or plane, whatever, and that's when you
an
hit the tree,
airplane.
right?
Yeah, they
Uh,
just put us in the trees.
and being a combat medic, I'm sure you probably knew, man, I'm done, right? After after you got hurt. And
Well,
I'm thinking,
yeah, here, I'll paint the picture for you. 45 degrees, driving gale force winds, pouring rain, and they go, yeah, no wire, no water, and no trees on the drop zone. That would have been great if they'd have put us on the drop zone.
oh my gosh.
So I found the tree, the first tree at the edge of the tree line, and I never even saw it. And it just
Wow.
center punched it. And then, when you're spitting your own teeth out and you have blood all over you, and you're the only medic on your team, we had an ambulance on site because we were in a military base, but it, you know, the kids in the ambulance aren't trauma surgeons,
Right,
they're
exactly. Yeah.
basic combat medics. And I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna die.
Oh my
But
gosh.
and I didn't.
Right.
So
Thank God. Thank God. But the other thing I was thinking of right now is, I know a lot of, professional athletes are going to this. A lot of veterans, just, regular people are going to it that want to stay in the game, right? Whether, and, this is not just for when you're older.
right.
If you're younger, if you got an injury, MMA, UFC, whatever the case is, right?
We're
This
we're
will this could
seeing
this could allow you possibly to stay in the game, and even I don't know if it would let you stay in the game with the military if if you would have been able to do it back then, but it possibly could have, right? But go ahead, Rant. Sorry.
might. I mean, there's no way to go back and rework that, so I don't know. But I can tell you that the youngest person I've seen get stem cell therapy was a young kid, 7, 8, 9 years old, who had autism and was non-communicative. And his mother and father wanted to try it because all the research shows that it'll help because it's a brain thing. And the brain is one of the more vascular organs of the body, if not the most. And so they get immediate impact from it. I did with my TBIs and my PTSD. I've seen and tinnitus and things like that that are all brain nerve focused. You see great results with that stuff. So I watched a kid go through. They didn't do injections because he was already kind of needle phobic from all
Okay.
the testing. So they gave it to him in an inhalation method.
Wow.
And after just 2 treatments, the young boy increased his ability to communicate with his parents. So
Wow.
we're seeing that, and then we're seeing people. The oldest person I've sent in was he was one of your buddies. He was what, 89, 90.
89. Yeah, almost 90. Yep. He's like a month
And
away from 90. Yep.
yeah, and so I always tell people, and they go, "Well, who does this?" I go, "From 8 to 89, you know, it doesn't matter what the injury or the illness is. The information shows after 15, 16 years of research on a global scale with multiple doctors from different countries, all the research indicates that any illness or injury to the body that can be cured by regenerating healthy cells in that space can be affected by stem cells."
Yeah, it's definitely for me. It's like a miracle, and I've learned so much more. Since we started chatting about this, man, and I'm glad it's able to change a lot of people's lives and make it better. Uh, can you explain, the people that are just hearing about stem cells? Like I'm sure there's people on here that have never heard of about stem cells. How do they actually work?
You know, there are a lot of people who write documents and letters that have MD and PhD and DO and DC and all those initials after their name that are much smarter than I am. But I would
Right.
say that in the way that I understand it is when you take the cells that are in the umbilical cord that are on their way to build a baby's body, that you're getting the most vibrant, most vital, most active cells known to man. Because even though we have stem cells in our bodies, after the age of late 20s, the number of stem cells being produced in your bone marrow begins to diminish. It's the beginning of the aging process. In the 30s, 40s, and 50s, you start seeing the 8 signs of aging. Skin, hair, nails are the first indication. They're the largest external organs that we can visually see. And so we start seeing the signs of aging, and they're different, but you see them. It usually starts with a little bit of weight gain and high cortisol levels. And then, as the belt expands, the body deteriorates. It's been proven many times that the most fit people live longer. If you carry more muscle mass than body fat, you're going to live longer than somebody who carries excessive body fat and less muscle mass. And so there's all kinds of ways to validate how it works and what it does, but the simplicity of it is we take those umbilical cord cells because they have not yet reached the body, the baby's body, so they haven't yet been directed by any kind of DNA. So they're neutral and they won't be rejected by your body. There's no cross type and matching like a blood transfusion because it doesn't have any red cells, white cells, debris, plasma, platelets in it. It's just the stem cells and they're in neutral. And as soon as they hit your blood, they begin to get uh, energy or signals from your DNA directing them to where your body needs them.
Wow.
And if you just stick them in your vein, they're going to go everywhere. With massive pinpoint injuries like shoulder tears, knee or hip that's worn out, it helps if you put some of the cells into that space directly. You'll
Okay.
get some immediate anti-inflammatory impact. You get some immediate healing. But those cells are going to be shorter lived than the ones that go in your blood because they can't survive very long outside blood supply. They need oxygen, they need nutrients, they need the basics to survive. When you put a combination of both together, the joint injection, whether it be in your neck, back, shoulder, elbow, wrist, knee, hip, whatever, um, those will give you immediate results, especially if they're mixed with exosomes. And then put the rest of the cells into your IV, into your vein, and let them go to work and set up shop in your bone marrow and start to reproduce healthy younger cells. And then people get immediate results with long-term impact. Now, people always ask me, how many times do I have to do this? I don't know. Everybody's body is different. My first infusion was a minimum dose, the smallest dose that I thought would work, and what the doctor said, I wouldn't go any smaller, it's not going to work.
Okay.
So I did minimum dose, I did 25 million cells. And that gave me relief for years, 3 years, 3.5 years. And then I started seeing other things. Obviously, my body's deteriorating. I'm approaching 70. Um, and so I went in and got another IV, and that just was like, and I did a big IV. I did 100 million
Wow.
cells. And that thing was like giving me rocket fuel. I mean, my energy went up, my lifting in the gym went up, my endurance went up, my exercise levels went up, my length of my day expanded. I mean, I just felt in every way
Wow.
that you could. And the thing I'm most proud of is I haven't had a cold or flu or COVID in the last 3.5 years.
Wow. That's amazing. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great stuff. It definitely changes your life.
Better
Uh,
than a vaccination.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. A lot of people, you mentioned earlier, a lot of people will look up on the internet. There's obviously a lot of different type of stem cells, right? So you
Yes.
guys are recommending the umbilical cord stem cells because they're the most potent and the more neutral for your body to accept, correct?
That and all the medical journals and reports from all the scientific evidence during studies, controlled medical studies, indicate that the umbilical cord stem cells are the ones that are giving the best results.
Okay.
Now, you can take your own stem cells and spin them down and reconstitute them and grow them and expand them, which you can't do in the US because the US medical regulatory agencies view expanding and culturing cells as an unknown territory. And I have to agree with them. I think they're I don't think we know yet what the long-term impact of culturing cells in a lab, growing them in a tube,
Right.
going to do to your body. I don't want to speculate on what I believe or think will happen, but why risk any kind of negative impact when you can take umbilical cord stem cells from a donor that have been handled properly, stored properly, and then reuse them in your body? Then we've seen nobody have any kind of kickback from that.
That's
And
amazing.
that they just started allowing that here in the United States. It's having been done in Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, Turkey, different places around the world for 15 years.
Wow, holy cow.
And finally, this present administration has opened up the floodgates and let doctors be doctors again. And now you can get them in the US. The problem is when you go on the internet, is are we dealing with umbilical cord stem cells? Are we dealing with cells that have been expanded and grown and cultured? Those to me are dangerous. Those are, well, they're questionable
Right,
in
exactly. Okay.
efficacy. The umbilical cord stem cells coming from a sound mother, a healthy baby, the C-section went well, the baby's born, then they clamp the tube and take those cells. I think that's the best way to go. That's the Rolls Royce of stem cells, if you wanted to label it that way. Yeah,
And
they're
you
the
want to
best.
make sure you're working with the most professional doctors that have been doing it the longest, right? You don't want someone that's just starting their clinic. It's like, hey, guess what? I just started my stem cell clinic last week. You want to try it? Let's give it a
Well,
shot,
if I
right?
was going in for heart surgery and the doctor told me he just graduated from school, I'd be going to a different doctor. He might be a great guy. He just has
Right,
no experience.
right,
He might
exactly.
have all the knowledge and he might have the alphabet after his name and he might have the diploma. But I want somebody that's been doing it for 10 or 15 years and everybody's lived.
I love it. Yeah. So pretty much this is not just for celebrities or for special forces guys. It could be for yourself, for your parents, for your kids, whatever challenges you're going through, right? Because
Yeah.
I've heard about it helping with like arthritis, chronic pain, neurological issues. I think I need some right now after stumbling upon that.
You
But
just have a blue crayon, Dave. You'll be fine.
uh,
Uh, so, let's address that because the issues all, when it comes down to it, the issue is always going to be price.
right,
Uh, there are clinics in the world that will accommodate you if you have all the money in the world and you want to spend it. They'll gladly take it all. And then there's other clinics in the world today that are doing this for the medical gain. They're doing it to help people and they're not interested in living in, castles and private planes and yachts. There's actually doctors out there that do medicine for the feeling of I did something good for mankind.
right.
Now, they need to make profit, don't get me wrong, and they need to have a nice office and you want them to have good equipment and to have, top end staff and the right people doing the job. But to give you an example, what I've seen clinics in other countries charging 20 and $30,000 for, I also know that there's clinics where you can get that done for less than 10. All
Wow.
right. So
Okay.
there's a big difference. And if you can get umbilical cord stem cells, a lot of these clinics are buying their cells from the same lab. There's not an unlimited supply of labs in the world that are correctly processing and storing stem cells.
And
And there's not many doctors in the field that have the fluoroscopic equipment to do a validation that the cells in this little vial are still alive.
okay.
And they get them just before they put them into your IV or into your joint injection. The doctors that we use all do that.
Okay.
They provide not just the report from the laboratory that these are high quality cells and where they came from and how they were processed, but they then do the examination with their own equipment in their own clinic immediately prior to the injection or the uh, infusion.
Yeah, that sounds really important because, right? I'm sure the people that
Yeah.
don't have that equipment, what if those
Well, I
stem
mean, it's like
cell,
buying a car. You want one that runs,
right? What
not
if those
one.
stem cells are not as active or effective anymore, right? You're
Well,
paying.
I've seen people get injections and been with them where they did injections and it was questionable whether the cells were alive or not because the way they were stored and shipped.
Oh, wow.
When you freeze things, damage happens to some of those cells, and you're going to have some loss. The numbers are all over the board. Some people believe it's 20%, some believe it's 50%. I think the norm is 30% loss in cryogenic freezing. Lyophilizing, drying damages some. Every man process that you do with a cell is going to damage some. So what I like about the docs we're utilizing is they do the examination themselves. They go, yeah, 99% of these cells are alive, 100% of these cells are alive, 90% of these cells are alive. So when they give you a dosage of, pick a number, 50 million, 100 million or more cells, you know that you got that many cells that were alive. And so the odds and the percentages that you're going to get a great impact and the best impact available goes up.
Love it. Yeah, that's great. And the doctor I know that you went to, he's been practicing for quite a while and speaks all over the world, right?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite people on this planet to talk to because he's so smart. He's been a doctor for over 30 years, internal medicine doctor. He was licensed in the US. He moved his clinic to another country because he got frustrated with the US regulations back then. And he's just one of the top guys in this industry. I've watched him and listened to him speak in many countries to medical professionals and people studying and the Association of Stem Cell Experts in England and in Europe. He's just a really stand-up guy, and he's like me. He was a Boy Scout. He believes
Okay.
in God. He's trustworthy, loyal, courteous, kind, thrifty, clean, reverent. He's a Boy Scout.
Love it. Yeah, I know stem cell therapy isn't just science anymore. It's personal, right? It's
Oh
personal. It's
yeah.
about you. It's about you and your family, and you want to help them. Yourself walk without pain. The mother that regains energy to play with her kids, or grandparents who could find relief after years of discomfort. So I'm excited about doing this. And tell us how does it work? How do people get a hold of your company? I know it's Assisted Global Vitality, right? Let me see if I
Yeah, if
can.
you just go to assistedglobalvitality.com, there's a box in there that says book an appointment, or there's a bot you can ask questions to that's been raised and trained by my documents and the documents we've submitted into the computer. But you can just go on there and book a free consultation. We do free consultations with everybody. We'll get you all the information that you need. We'll find out what your ailments or injuries were or are, and then we'll guide you to somebody who's specifically an expert in that field that does stem cells and does them the right way. It's just as simple as we need to talk by phone or Zoom for a few minutes. We have to discover what your needs are, and then we can guide you and direct you. Basically, what we do is medical tourism. We help you pick the right place to go and match you up with the right price point, the right medical professional who's got experience in your needs, and it's in the right place. And once we do that, then we just turn you over to the medical clinic and they take it from there. And then we do follow-ups with you. We make sure that you get results. We communicate between you and the doctor if need be. The doctor can follow up with you direct, but we follow up with all of our referrals too, because my partner Victor and I, the guy in the picture there below me, is Victor's been in the medical field in emotional therapy and coaching and personal development all of his life. He also is a former military Green Beret out of the Dutch Army in the
Oh,
Netherlands.
nice. Okay.
He and I met at a Tony Robbins event. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
this is all interconnected, and we've been famous friends ever since. Kind of like you and me, Dave. I mean, as soon as Hiram introduced us, you and I just clicked, and here we are years later, and we're still hanging out and doing stuff and helping other people. And so that's how Victor and I got together. And Victor helped me through the emotions and the mental state of when my wife was going through her cancer. He helped her a bunch. His wife is also a genius in that field. They would do Zooms with us. We did hypnotherapy. We did all kinds of things that helped both of us deal with the obvious impending end.
So is
And
that a
then,
service you guys offer as well, Matt, with
yes, it's
with
on our
people that are
website.
having like
Yes.
even if it's like
Victor owns the
PTSD or
company.
TBI as well?
Yeah, Victor owns a company called Unlimited People, and they
Okay.
practice globally. And you can get the referral right on our website. Yes.
Love it. Love it. All right, good deal. Let's get into some success and some faith questions real quick, and then we'll start wrapping up, Matt. You spoke about your faith. what's helped you always stay within faith, and what do you do daily to make sure you stay within your faith?
Well, I have some, I'm a pretty basic guy.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not a fancy dresser or real flashy dude. Um, I have some really basic fundamental beliefs about faith.
Okay.
I believe there's a God, and I know I'm not him.
Right.
Everything else is debatable. I'm a Christian. Not that that should isolate anybody. I mean, I don't care what religion or beliefs you have. If you have a physical need, we can offer assistance.
Here to help any of your bone. Yeah.
But I was raised. My parents are Italian and German. I'm mostly Italian and a little bit German through my grandmother. Both of my grandfathers were born in Italy, so I'm a second generation. Let's see, my grandpa was a first generation immigrant. My dad was a second generation American. I'm a third, and so I think that why I do this is because I believe that first you do no harm, and then if you can help somebody else, why are you not doing it? And I think that's been lost in our current state of our world is people don't neighbor. I know people who have lived in their house for 10 years and do not know the name of their next door neighbor.
Wow.
To me, that's sad.
Right.
And so I'm neighboring. We're neighboring on a digital device. We're neighboring on a global scale, but we're just offering people answers. And we're not saying that we're the only source. We're just saying we're a good one and you can trust us. We're not going to lie to you. And we're not doing it for money. We're doing it for impact. We're doing
Nice.
it because I need to give back. It's part of my recovery from losing Jana. I'm seeing my kids give back. I'm watching them interact with people their own age and younger and older to offer wisdom and experience of what does it feel like when you're 20 something and your mom goes.
Right.
What well, how do you deal with that? I'm a college student and my mom's got cancer. How do I deal with that? And so that's what we do as a family, and that's what we do as a business.
Love it. Thank you, man. What's the best advice you ever received from a mentor about life, leadership, or business?
When in doubt, take all out massive action.
Okay.
If you don't know what to do, then just get to work, dig in, because um, you never hear of anybody who is top in their game, whether it's sports, business, military, whatever, where they say, "Oh yeah, it was easy. I just woke up and it happened." Every one of them talk about the grind, the build, the study, doing, nurturing and developing and guiding the next generation, leading. And so I believe, I was a U.S. Army Ranger and a Green Beret. The basic mantra of the Rangers was lead, follow, or get the heck out of the way. Because if you're not going to lead or follow, I will.
Right. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and so that's what we're doing. We're leading. We're leading with our own personal testimony, our own personal stories. We're not telling you to do something that we haven't already done and are doing. We're sharing with other people what the results were, and the results were nothing short of God sent. Think about it. Who designed that stem cell that was in that baby's umbilical cord? God did,
Right. Exactly.
not man.
Yeah. I mean, it makes so much sense. You're getting brand new. It's kind of like you're getting brand new stem cells in your body. That kind of you are. You're
It's a
getting
restart,
brand new stem cells. So that's why they're calling it regenerate, right? It's
right?
regenerating your body. Your body's healing itself.
Right.
It's I think it's the way medicine should actually be, right? Instead of
Well, and then you couple that with eat right and exercise. And my favorite from one of my favorite docs on this planet, unfortunately, he's gone now, but when I met him and I was in my 30s and 40s, he was in his 90s, still practicing medicine. He
wow.
practiced Chinese herbal medicine
Okay.
in Illinois and Chicago. And when I got hurt, I went to Chicago because the medical care in a big city is always better than in a rural area. And I was
Right.
living on a small ranch in Arkansas when I got hurt. And so I went to Chicago and I met Dr. Gua. And Dr. Gua was an expert in China. He was the guy that imported the Chinese teas from China to help everybody in the US. And his mantra, he would always tell me, he'd go, Machu. And he'd grab my hand. He'd go, Machu. everything in moderation. Because I used to ask him, is it going to hurt if I have a beer? Is it going to hurt if I go out and have a cocktail with dinner on Friday night? He goes, everything in moderation. And so that's the wisdom.
It sounded like Danielson. Danielson.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can take pebble from hand. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm not mocking him. I'm
No,
just,
no, no. It's awesome. I love it. I think
yeah.
it's a compliment to him, right? Because it's
I used to do that right in front of him, and he'd just laugh. He'd go, "Oh, you're so funny."
so when you got out, did you struggle with PTSD and TBI right
Yeah,
away, or
yeah, massively. I had a big TBI, and I had all the emotions of feeling unsafe, feeling unsecure, not insecure, unsecure.
right,
And what that means is when you're in the military, you go, "Hey, the chow sergeant's got chow, the medical tent's right over there. If I get shot, there's a medevac helicopter and a 18 Delta trauma doc. If you had support. And when you
right?
leave the military, you still have all your training. You just don't have any support.
Exactly. That's a
And
good
so
point.
you start to feel unsecure. I'm not, I don't, nobody's got my back. My buddy used to have my six. Now I'm by myself with my wife and kids. And so that feeling of being unsafe is one of the primary diagnostic tools used in PTSD. Because if you have advanced PTSD, you're not going to feel safe. You're going to want to sit in the restaurant with your back to the wall. You're
Right,
going to be able to see both exits. You're going to go through all these shenanigans. And I did, and I do less of it now. I think, when you get to be my age, you're not worried about fighting because it takes too long to heal.
right. Exactly. Yeah,
But I
that's a good
am
point.
aware. I'm just not in bright red awareness. I'm not at that level of awareness anymore. I'm able to relax. And I think a lot of that comes from having your TBIs and your PTSD addressed properly.
What did you do back then since there was no stem cells? Obviously, I'm sure you would have done stem cells now.
They did all kinds of drugs and stuff that didn't work and did damage and had side effects. And, they worked for a while. And then when they stopped working, they'd take you to a different one. And I went through all that stuff. And I got to tell you that none of that made it go away because 35 years, 30 years later, it was still
It
there.
was still there in your brain. You could see it.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
ain't there no more.
And that's amazing that you could actually see it in your brain, right? With the scans.
Yeah, with MRIs. I went in to get a neck MRI, and one of the doctors said, "Have you ever been diagnosed with a TBI?" And I said, "No, but I'm sure I got one." And
Right.
he goes, "Why?" And I go, "Well, let me drop you from an airplane and eat a tree limb in the base of your chin. It's going to cause a head injury." And he goes, "Did you lose consciousness?" And I go, "I think so." When you lose consciousness, sometimes you're not aware that you did or
Right,
didn't,
exactly.
you know,
Wow.
but there it
That's
is.
amazing. That's amazing. All right, brother. Any last words, and then I'll have you wrap it up with some words of wisdom, and then we'll close out.
Well, let's do both at the same time, and then we can close out. Words of wisdom are is if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you keep doing what you're doing, you're probably going to continue to have the same results. My encouragement is it costs nothing to look. It costs nothing to test drive a new car. It costs nothing to call or book an appointment on our website and sit down with one of us for 20 minutes and let's do a discovery talk and find out what you're dealing with. And if we can help you, we will. And if we can't, we'll give you a referral to somebody that can. And, then you have the information, and then you can choose whether you do something with it or not. It's better to have the information and not need it than it is to need it and not have it. And that's when people make emotional decisions about their physical health, is when they're not prepared and the doctor walks in and goes, "You got cancer." I know this is a fact. I went through it with John.
Right.
The doctor walked in the room and said, "You've got cancer and we think you've got 90 days or less to live."
Wow.
Well, now you're making
You're
decisions
shocked. Yeah,
based
you're
on emotion.
right.
It's my wife and it was my life and her life. And, it's going to change everything from here on out. And so you make decisions. And did we make mistakes? Yeah, we made a lot of them. The good news is we kept making decisions and we kept moving forward and we kept researching and we never gave up. Because once you give up, you're done. You're going to die. Okay. And the truth is we're all going to die someday. Just I'm not dying today.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I love it that you have all that knowledge now, right? So I highly recommend people reach out to Matt. It's a free service that he offers, right? Reach out to Matt, talk to him, let him know what's going on, and he'll recommend, whether this could help you or not, and then connect you with the doctors as well, right? Let them know that
Yeah,
you saw.
and if you're a veteran, we offer veteran discounts because we realize that money's always an issue, and if we can help a veteran, that's the purpose of Dave's business and mine separately and collectively, is that we take care of veterans because we believe in that. We are veterans. So if you're a veteran, make sure you let us know, and we'll make sure to get you that special pricing too.
Absolutely. Anybody reaching out, let them know that Matt, let them know that you saw the podcast, and and make sure that you share this as well. Matt, it's been an absolute honor as always, my friend, having you on today. Thank you for your sacrifice, your leadership, and your example. You didn't just serve back in the day; you continue to serve by helping others and helping veterans with their health and mind, and other people as well. For our audience, share, follow, and subscribe. These stories need to be heard. These lessons can change and save lives. Stay focused, stay winning. God bless you, and thank you for listening and following.
Thanks, Dave.